so much for taking the time to speak to me today. How are yourself and the rest of the band doing?
Very good. Now it's actually the moment where everything is done. The last videos are cut, everything is set up. So I had 2 days at the lake yesterday, so I'm feeling very good right now. Thank you so much.
Lovely. So, as we know, you've just wrapped up a very busy festival season, including your final stop in Norway. How are you feeling about coming off of that run? How was your summer?
Pretty nice. We still have I think two festivals to go, and then we have a big tour coming up like mid-September. So we're not like having the rest because now it's the time where we will put the new album on stage, and this is going to be very exciting. So we have all these dark songs we've written, and to bring this mystic atmosphere on stage, this is our challenge right now. But the festival season has been very good so far. Thank you.
Incredible. Are there any sort of moments that really stand out from the festivals that you've done so far?
Many like it's so different. Like it's like we're jumping from one world to the next. For example, I started my month. I gave a lecture on Castlefest in Netherlands, a really beautiful fantasy festival where a lot of people have costumes and where it's like more children friendly, very friendly, lovely atmosphere, folkish. Then I went into Meraluna, big Gothic festival where it's like a big stage. Everything was very big, so I was like pretty impressed. And then I did a Midgardblot now, going to Norway and have the Vikings and black metal. So we just played a very nice set in the Sundown and Midgardblot. The people were dancing. I feel very much like anticipated. I love the audience. But just 45 minutes after us, there was mayhem on the same stage. So it was quite a mix, I have to say.
That really does sound like a very mixed bag of shows that you've done.
Yeah, with
Um,
all of the band, it's difficult to put us in, in one corner because we're so in between. And this is, I think, it's really nice to be invited on so different events, but we're always a little bit the outsider. It's a good point, but it also doesn't make it easier sometimes.
I bet. As we're sort of coming to the end of that run of festivals, how do you sort of shift your focus back into preparing for a major album release?
Of course, the album is done, so this is nice. So now this is the fruits already coming in because the album, all the music is done many weeks and months ago. So now you gave it all, and then you feel like, is it really good? I couldn't do more. I couldn't invest more energy, but is it really good? And now it's the time with the interviews, and then some interviewers tell you they really like the album, and it's a big relief. You think, oh my God. So now it's actually a nice period for us.
Oh, I'm very glad to hear it. And obviously, speaking of the new album, Hex, it's a bit of a concept album of sorts, and it's sort of based around all of these different stories from across so many different cultures. What sort of guided your choice into which traditions to explore for this album?
Well, the album before we gave an introduction to paganism, and it's called Pagan. And there we have like we explained the three paths of paganism. There's like witchcraft. This is like a druid, the tradition, the Celtic tradition, and the Viking Nordic tradition. These are the three main paths. And then we thought now, because also on pagan, the witchcraft part has been very interesting. I talk with amazing persons like for example Vivian Crowley from the UK, and it was so interesting. And so I thought, well, this is really worth to dig deeper. And also, second point, we have a very old song. It's called Walpurgisnacht, German for Beltane. And the joke, I started to announce it on festival. This is a song for the witches here. And wherever we play all over the globe, it's a really crazy loud scream, like, yes, we're here. And I thought, oh my God, people are very self-aware and very proud to be witches. And so I think it might be the right time to dive into witchcraft, but also away from all the cliches, to have a serious approach on it. And yeah.
Yeah, obviously, while you've been researching for this album and going into all of these traditions, what do you think people sort of misunderstand most about these figures in history and as well as modern day paganism?
Well, first of all, of course, it's like the whole witch trial period. Like it's crazy how we, for example, in another interview, I remembered actually that I myself, I had a little lamb on my next to my bed, being a child, like 4 years old, And this was the story of Hansel and Gretel, the fairy tale. But the witch was really scary on the lamp. And I still remember every time I went to bed, I had to turn the lamp that the witch is not pointing to my direction, not looking, seeing me at the bed. I was afraid of that witch. And it's still children fairy tales, movies, you still have the image of the evil witch, doing something evil, bad. And this is such a misconception because those have been like healing women, they did so much good and they know the herbs and something. And a small example, for example, they kept the spiders because on the way the spiders building the webs, they could say how the weather's going to change. So to help the farmers. But and all this injustice that they have been like burned and followed and something. And this is so crazy, and that we still have the conception these are the evil ones and not those crazy guys who burned innocent healing women.
Yeah. I see there's such a rich history to it all.
It really is, and so much is lost also of this amazing knowledge we had. And now it's time to recreate it, to imagine what was there. So there's such a strong tradition going on from family to family. And of course, it was heavily interrupted in mostly in the 17th century. But it's really nice to dig deep and to follow the traditions. And also, second point, to not do it in the cliche way, because also we have all the Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, everything, or the Harry Potterish thing where it's just only cliches riding on a broomstick or something. But to really uh, have something, no, this is something adult, this is something really wise. There's a lot of important knowledge. There's something important for our world right now. To do this in a serious way, I think, yeah, it was a really lovely journey.
Oh, that's incredible. So this album has been quite some time in the making. Um, did the sort of longer timeline for this album mean that you found yourself revisiting some older material, or was most of the inspiration taken from more recent sort of inspiration, especially from different various bandmates?
So we have a very nice band because all of us have our own bands, all of us are writing songs, so there's so much material always coming in. So this is why also one of the reasons why we have a theme, because it's so easier to focus all the energy, all the ideas to say, hey, everything focus on one theme, let's bring it in. And on this album, of course, we're traveling a lot. It's a lot of things on the road, experiences we do when we play. For example, in Istanbul, we meet people talking about witches in Istanbul, or just we go to Scandinavia and play key fiddle with some other guys, have melodies, put them into something. So this is mostly how things start. And so slowly we had a theme, witchcraft, but then it became kind of a red thread to say, hey, we follow witchcraft in different traditions. So we go into the Celtic world, for example, Nimue, the witch who just put Merlin into the cave or into the tree with her spell. Or we go into the Viking world and have the tradition of bloods or cider. Cider is some kind of trance magic that was only allowed to be done by female in the Viking world. Or we go even in one song, we go even to the old Turkish tradition. Like the old animistic religion before Muslim in Turkey, or better Mongolia, and have the old mother goddess there.
This is so much to delve into and explore when you sort of open into this topic.
Exactly. And so it was, we sometimes overdo it because people just want to listen to the songs. But it's also so nice for us to learn something ourselves, to not say, hey, we just write a couple of songs, but we choose a topic we're really interested in. And then it's so nice for us to meet the people, talk with people, go to universities. And this is also why we have it's a normal CD, it's a vinyl, but we also there's a limited edition of the album, and it's in a big book. So it's a 60 pages hardcover book where we explain all the background, where we have just, for example, one thing it's called the hair spell. It's a magic spell, and for some people they say, oh, it's a nice melody, it's a nice little song, but if you have the earbook, for example, and read the whole story, it's very interesting because there was one lady, she was called Isobel Gaudi, and she had a witch trial 1650 in northern England, I think, yeah, North England, And she had 6 weeks actually of interrogation. But this is so special because she told incredibly amounts of information, like details of how the ritual was taking part, details of magic spell something, and it was all written down. So we have the full things she was explaining. And first of all, she was a very noble, very low education. People say, could she have such a crazy big knowledge? Could she made it up? Otherwise, there's other witch trials where other witches said pretty much similar things in the distance. So looking at this is such an incredible window into the original witchcraft, 1650 in Scotland. And for example, one of her magic spells is the hair spell, and we took the spell and put it into music.
Incredible. When you were
Yeah,
writing this album, did you find that there were any songs that were maybe a little bit stubborn and had to be reshaped or reworked several times before they came to the finished product?
yes, yeah, it's called which the singer we just released is called Nimue. We did it together with Chelsea Wolfe from America. What's a big honor for us because her latest album is just amazing. But this is one of the songs where I was about to give up. I just 5 times I started the song all over, did a different tempo. And sometimes you think, because it was a very beautiful hurdy-gurdy melody that is kind of friendly. There was the verses that are very mysterious about magic, the core of magic. And to fit it all together, and then Chelsea Wolfe coming in, it was nearly impossible. And yeah, at certain times I thought just give it up because I could have made 4 or 5 or 6 different songs at the same time. But I was stubborn and I was fighting hard, and now I'm really happy with the result, and I'm really happy we get a lot of positive feedback for that one. So I think it was worth it.
Oh, incredible. So, as you've just mentioned, Chelsea Wolfe, you have brought in some incredible collaborators onto this album. Do you sort of approach them directly with a part already in mind, or do you find it's more of a let's just see what happens kind of process?
Most of the time, we meet the people in person. So, like you like each other, or you stumble upon each other at a festival, and then you hang out together, and you have a good connection, or you start to jam a little music, and then you think this is so nice. With Chelsea Wolfe, it was I the last winter, it was the soundtrack of my winter. Her latest CD, I liked it so much. I was listening so much to it. And while working on the song Nimue, and of course, then you jump from her music into our song again, and then you think it might be really nice to have her like really floating, mysterious vocals on the song. And unfortunately, our management, they work together with her a lot. And so then in this case, we never met. It's really sad because we just did the US tour and she had also no time to come over. But so we did this from a distance, but still the result is it's really, I think it's fitting very well together.
Oh, incredible. Do you find that personally, like when you sort of start writing a track or an album, is there any particular sort of like process or almost like, well, you could say ritual that you go through to sort of begin that creative process and help you sort of unlock that creativity?
It's so interesting because, as I said before, it's 6 people in the band. Everybody writes their own songs, so it's always a flood of material coming in, and we mostly have to figure a way how to sort it. But in my own personal way, I start a song mostly with a beat. So I need some rhythmic element and to jam on top with my instruments or to sing on top. So I need a certain yeah, rhythm to just like to get in the mood, and this is what keeps me going. So I most of the time I ask my people, Alex and Neil, can you give me a beat? Can you give us a rhythm? Or just record something myself, a rough rhythm, and then start to jam on top of it. Yeah.
Perfect. So to touch on one of the other tracks of this album, Belladonna,
Mhm.
it I find that it sort of borrows lightly from traditional songs such as I Roved Out, while still sort of really standing on its own. How do you sort of strike that balance between paying homage to the old while also creating something new for yourself?
We are a folk band, so I think we do not want to lose the connection to the old material. And like, for example, there's one song called Waltz. It's a traditional Swedish waltz we are playing there. And it's also us, we are a lot into trad. So we play the trad songs, we play the folk songs. And in Belladonna, it was like I was listening to a band called Dengue Dengue Dengue. They're from, I think, somewhere Latin America, and they're really cool. And it's a music style called cumbia. And cumbia is a very weird rhythmic element. It's like it's yeah, it's a little bit like reggae, but even weirder. And I thought this is so interesting, and I really wanted to work on rhythms like this. And then we were sitting together. It was actually in Istanbul. We were sitting together with the band, and I introduced the idea late at night. We had some drinks in the bar, and then Adaya started to sing this Irish traditional folk song on top of it. She said, "Let's good together," and we said, "Yeah, let's mix it, Irish folk and cumbia, perfect." And so we have the melody of a traditional Irish folk song, but made our own text onto it. And then later on, it goes into reggae belladonna, I would say. And later on, even it goes into rock. So it's gonna be the next single coming up. I think it's not very commercial, but what to do? The song wrote itself, and we could only follow it.
So, just as a bit of a fun question to sort of wrap up this section on the album itself,
Yeah.
if Hex was a spell book, which track do you think would be sort of the most dangerous spell, and which one do you think would be more of a healing kind of spell?
Oh, that's a nice question. I think I'm not sure if it's danger, but when we sing, for example, hair spell, it's an original spell to turn somebody into hair, into a rabbit. So we haven't played it live. Maybe some people are in the audience and they turn into rabbits, but we also have the end of the spell, so how to turn back into human. So people can come to the concerts if if they become a rabbit, they will become a human afterwards again. And on the other side, of course, it's like we have, for example, Ilfas Bere. This is old English text from the 10th or 11th century. It's called the Lachnungar. It's an old English also healing about herb something. And in there, there's also a magic spell if you are shot by elves or witches. And this I'm not sure in English. I think it's called rheumatic if you have in your bones if you have pain. And in the old days, it was oh somebody was shot by an elf. And this is a spell actually to get the elf shot out.
Very thoughtful.
Yes, very helpful for the audience. So come to the concert. It's a very healing experience for sure.
So just to quickly touch on some of the music videos that we've seen and that we are potentially going to be seeing, they always feel, I find, like almost like short films. They're just so beautifully, almost haunting in their landscapes and their wardrobes, and it's just such an incredible atmosphere. How do you even begin to plan a video shoot like that?
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a lot of energy we take there, and I have to admit it's become so much that sometimes I see somebody with a great costumes. I go into nature and see some great nature. I meet some things, and then I think, wow, this is such a strong, beautiful image that I start to write a song in the direction that I can have the video image in the song. So I'm not sure if other bands do it the same, but for us it becomes really important because I think, for example, let's talk about Bloat. Bloat is the song about Viking offerings. And I had in contact with Maria from Sweden. She's a strong woman, really strong woman. And I saw I love how she looks and she's very beautiful, but I love her whole appearance. But I said, come on, it's a war in Ukraine in so many places on earth. I do not want to have a strong woman who's fighting. We do not need any more fighting. So I thought, what can we do to have her strong, looking like a warrior, but in our video without fighting? And so blood means to offer. That is about the right balance, about giving and taking. That's very important in our modern world, to my idea. And so we had the plot that I made somebody have a big statue of a Nordic god, and it was really heavy. And I first asked a guy who makes very beautiful statues, and I said, "Can we please have a statue, but we use it in a music video, and in the end we burn it?" He said, "No, I will not make a statue for you. You will not burn my gods." I said, "Okay, understandable." So I asked somebody else, and he said, "Yeah, if I can make your statue. If you buy it from me, you can do whatever you want with it." I said, "Perfect." And so we did the video shoot, and it's about really giving something. And I had this lute here in my house. It was not really able to play anymore, but it's too beautiful to throw away. So I renovated it, made it playable. And then in the video, I put the lute in the fire. The lute is burning. Maria, the strong woman, takes this god. It's really heavy and carries it. It was like 10 days. She carries it the whole day. You could see she's strong, but she's not fighting. She just does something as an offering. She carries it, and in the end, we put it in the fire and it burns. And I think so videos are so nice to understand the story of the song so much better in pictures. And I think this is the part of it that our songs have really a lot of background information, stories lying underneath, and the videos help us to to tell those stories.
Incredible. Yeah, it is just visual storytelling, isn't it?
Indeed, it is, and it's ballads also. We love to sing ballads, and yeah, that helps.
Of course. So, to touch on the upcoming European and UK tour, how are you sort of shaping the set list around this new record? And are there any particular tracks from Hex that you're excited to be playing on tour for potentially the first time?
Oh yeah, totally. Of course, there's many new songs. It's like now a different, difficult challenge because there's all the old songs you like so much to play on stage, and we have a great lineup. We have a tour with three bands actually coming up. So we have this really crazy pirate band from Sweden, and they're pure fun, and they're making music not on stage the whole day. They're making music, so it's really nice to have them with us. We have two amazing musicians as a support act also starting first. On some parts, it's two Swedish musicians. They're amazing, like playing these old instruments like nobody else. And in the UK, it's John Doran and Janice Burns, and they're very beautiful folk musicians telling ballads in the most beautiful way. So we have this great lineup, and so our set is like we cannot play like 3 hours or something. So we choose to play the strongest songs of our past, but also I think we have 5 or 6 songs we try to play from the new album and songs we have never played before. So it's going to be very, very challenging, but also interesting at the same time.
I was gonna say it's all sounding very, very exciting. Um,
Yeah.
would you say that you ever find that sort of maybe new perspectives or just over time, you've sort of implemented maybe some subtle changes into how some of your older tracks are performed live?
Um, Yeah, sometimes we think the very old tracks they're kind of simple still. They're kind of rougher, and of course your skills are getting better over the years. But there's some old songs, for example, Andro is it's a dance from Brittany, a traditional dance. In its roughness, we still play it on nearly every concert, and it works so well. It's the combination of beats, and it's just I don't know. And sometimes we maybe make too much these days. We have too much work. We should keep it simpler, but sometimes it's just two things come together and then magic starts to happen.
Incredible. Have you ever played a show in a place where maybe the local culture or the traditions felt almost directly connected to the stories that you were telling?
Yeah, very often. So it's always, and that makes it very humble. For example, we play a berimbau on stage. This is one of the oldest instruments of mankind. It's actually just a bow, like for hunting, but you hit it with a stick. And this is used in Brazil a lot for capoeira dance. And we integrate it in our music because it's one of the oldest instruments. And it goes very good with the Irish bouzouki or with the hurdy-gurdy. And so we always look for very old instruments. But then, of course, if you travel to Brazil, where it's one of their tradition, and you play the berimbau as German guys, they look at you, what? But also they take it as a compliment. It's so nice. And same like last week, we were playing on Midgardslot in Norway, in a very famous burial ground of Vikings. And then you play a song called Odin, and with original Old Norse lyrics. So it's a big honor for us that people say, "Hey, this is that." But most of the people they take it as a compliment because we are very interested in all those traditions and do not want to focus on only one thing.
Oh, it's just so interesting to hear all of these incredible stories. Well, I won't keep you for too much longer, but what I can say is we are so excited for the release of this album. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today. Is there anything else that you'd like to add or maybe say to your fans that are going to be watching this?
No, I'm really looking forward to this journey. So I'm very thankful for all the positive feedback already on the topic and all the singles we released so far. And I so much look forward to the tour also. We play London again. It's one of my big heart desires because I don't know why when I was 19, it was the first festivals I had in the south of England, and London was always very special city to me. So I'm so happy to come back to London. And then we do all the way to Manchester. First time going a little bit to northern England. So I'm so happy to be there, and I'm really looking forward to it.